Welcome to the Solar Coaster. I'm Tim Montague, your host. Look, today we're going to talk about Tesla because I just got a Model Y and it's a beautiful thing. That is the car behind me on my right shoulder here. But look, the reason I am so passionate for Tesla is because they are mission driven. Elon Musk has made it clear he is on a mission to create a sustainable and safe future for humanity. Don't we all want that for our children? I don't care what political stripe, what your flavor of democracy is or not. You know, we all want a sustainable future for humanity. It's in our genes. It's actually why we exist. We want to procreate, we want to survive. Unfortunately, humanity is at a very unique time in history. And this is hard for humans to understand because we're short-lived animals. We only live 100 years at best. But we've come to this point where humans dominate the built environment. They dominate the natural environment. We are at the mercy at the same time of some things. One is the natural environment. The other is the technology that we have invented and created, which is potentially a greater existential threat than climate change. So we have a myriad of challenges ahead of us. It's election night, and honestly, the Biden-Trump dogfight is peanuts compared to what humans have on their plate. So let me just elaborate a little bit, which puts this in context. And by the way, I am going to show some cool tech from the Tesla, and I'm going to leave you with some beautiful drone footage of a project here in Central Illinois and a solar project at Parkland College and the Terrafactory that's being built in Austin, Texas, that Tesla is building. So what are the challenges that we face? And these are probably just some of them, but these are the ones that I'm cognizant of. And I want to give a shout out to the Limiting Factor. I'm wearing their merch, high quality merch. Check out the Limiting Factor on YouTube. Jordan Giesige is an American living in New Zealand, and he puts out really high quality videos about lithium ion batteries. So check him out. Lithium ion is our future as a species for the foreseeable future. You know, I'm an energy professional and I'm becoming equally as passionate about lithium ion as I am about solar because it's a both and batteries are the holy grail for renewable energy. I digress. So we stand at the precipice of a unique time in human history, and that's hard to understand, but let's just say we've been evolving for about 1,000,000 years in our current form. Even though we all came from amoeba and slime molds, we've been here in our current form, walking bipedally and using various forms of language and tools for about 1,000,000 years. So now we've created two things that are threatening really our existence for the next even 500 years, which is a total drop in the bucket when you think about life on Earth. Number one, in my opinion, is the AI explosion. And I will be putting some articles in the show notes about books and articles on the AI explosion. But because this is a very unique phenomenon, it's dumb, slightly less dumb, slightly less dumb, as smart as humans, and then way smarter. That is what we call the vertical takeoff, and it is an explosion. It's not necessarily one that like immediately decimates society, but ultimately it could very easily pave over humanity as we know it, even if the AI, and now when that vertical takeoff happens, we call that an AGI, an artificial general intelligence. So it's today I have a Tesla. It has an AI in it. It does self-driving. It'll drive itself on the highway, for example, maintaining a safe distance, changing lanes if a car were to abruptly stop or crash in front of me, it would avoid that crash. It's a smart machine, but it's a very narrow AI. A AGI, artificial general intelligence, is a machine that can invent machines that are a quantum leap smarter than it is. So first you have the human intelligent machine, but then within a few months or weeks, or maybe even just days or hours, you have a machine that is thousands, then millions, then billions, then trillions, quadrillions. I recently learned the word yotta. Yotta is 10 to the 24th. So soon the machine is a yotta more intelligent than humans. And it doesn't have to be out to get us in order to cause major havoc for humanity. It could be as simple, as Nick Bostrom points out, as somebody programming the machine to maximize the production of paper clips. And it converts all of the Earth's resources into a paperclip making machine. I fear an AI that might want to go interstellar. As soon as it realizes that there is someplace else to go, meaning other solar systems and other galaxies, then it would quickly um, capture all of the energy possible on Earth. In other words, coating the Earth with photovoltaics, which is a bittersweet outcome because I work in the solar industry. But if that were to happen, the AI or the AGI doesn't need to be after us. It's just an outcome that we would no longer be able to make enough food to survive because there was a crust of solar photovoltaics on the earth. And this isn't to say that we should stop exploring PV because we absolutely need to do that for sustainability in the near term. The second is climate change. Climate change is an existential threat, which is why I'm so passionate about Tesla's mission. And I see the possibility for capitalism to be a part of the solution. We need to electrify transportation to remove 40% of our carbon footprint from society to stop climate change. We need to reverse climate change, not just stop climate change. And to do that, we have to grossly expand our efforts. We are truly dancing around the edges, as some smart people once said. We are rearranging the chairs on the Titanic right now with our efforts. And luckily, solar, wind, and storage are the cheapest sources of new energy on the planet. And so major utilities are all going gangbusters. Major investors are going after this technology and investing in it. And the energy transition is accelerating. We need to do one of these. It's slow, 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 tipping point, and going vertical. And as I say to my sons, we have 50 years of pure growth. If we have the luxury of surviving for 50 years into the future, renewable energy is a fantastic career for you Julian and Finn, and any other humans that care to engage in the growth economy. The only way to step back from the brink of climate change, though, is to decarbonize the economy, hence electric vehicles, electrification of HVAC, that space conditioning, making our buildings comfortable, safe, and healthy. Today, we burn a lot of natural gas and oil to heat and condition our spaces. And in 5 years, in 10 years, that will become pure electric. So heat pumps, mini splits. It's predicted now that Tesla is going to get into the space conditioning industry or the HVAC industry in residential construction, and maybe into residential construction itself. And I'm there. I think Musk realizes that our built environment is a huge part of our carbon footprint, and there's a huge opportunity there. Just like he's going after that with transportation, and you'll see this in many other industries that he's going to disrupt. I wanted to touch on the autonomous vehicle aspects of the Tesla, and I'm going to share my screen and show you just one very subtle example of this. Here's a photo of my vintage 24-foot RV. I dubbed her the SolarCoaster shortly after I bought her this past summer, and I have yet to solarize her, but I have upgraded the lithium-ion battery system. Well, I put in a lithium-ion battery system. It had a lead acid, and I can run for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks off grid. So there I am in my Model Y at the base of the driveway. To my right is my garbage can. It was garbage day today. And check it out. This is what the Tesla sees. To the right, you see it sees the garbage can. It thinks there's two of them, minor error, and it sees a truck. Looks like a box truck. That's what the RV is. It's a box truck. It's a Ford E350, and it's a 24-foot box truck. It's like a small moving truck. And the Tesla sees it. And it sees that when it's driving down the road. So I don't have a video for you of the Tesla driving down the road. That's to come. But this computer vision and machine learning, okay, that is what Tesla is all about. They have invented a machine learning chip, computer. They are collecting billions of miles of experience with self-driving vehicles, with pilots in the vehicle to be a backup. And this is accelerating, and this is a unique advantage that Tesla has. The autonomous vehicle opportunity is one that I really want to impress upon you, because in 10 years, consumers will no longer need personal vehicles. Today, we buy cars and they sit for at least 90% of the time, probably more for most people, doing nothing. When you have full autonomy, level 5 autonomy in a vehicle, it can go about its business without a human in the cockpit. What that means is, if you own an autonomous vehicle, you can turn it into a cash machine. When I get home from visiting a construction project or visiting the office in Chicago, I can flip a switch. Once this happens, it's not here yet, but it is in the near future. Could be 6 months, could be a couple of years, worst case, 5-10 years. Doesn't really matter. It's coming, and 10 years goes by fast. So if you were to buy a fleet of autonomous vehicles, let's say 7 vehicles, 7 is just a good number. it might cost, this is for higher end Teslas like the Cybertruck, it might cost $500,000. You could certainly get a fleet of 7 vehicles from Tesla for less that have self-driving capabilities. But let's say you buy a fleet of Cybertrucks. With a AV, as we call autonomous vehicles, you can now make $30,000. That's the low end estimate per vehicle. So 7 times 30 is 210. You're making $210,000 of income. So that $500,000 investment is paid back in 2.4 years. Now there'll be some maintenance costs. The maintenance on EVs is much less. They don't have an internal combustion engine. You're not changing the oil. You're not tuning up the engine. They have regenerative braking, and so you're not replacing and upgrading the brakes nearly as often. You are replacing the tires. You're fixing the suspension now and again, but there are many changes to the vehicle or maintenance items that you're not doing on an EV. So you're cash positive in, let's say, 3 years. 3 years for return on investment is fantastic for any industry. And you can imagine then every 3 years beyond that, you're pulling in $500,000. Okay. So do the math, and I will show a spreadsheet in my next episode of how this plays out. This is just a fleet of 7 autonomous vehicles. And here's my plan. And if you're interested in joining me on this journey, please reach out to me, TG Montague on Twitter, TGMONTAGUE. My plan is to focus on the minor metros in the US. Some big companies are going to create fleets of autonomous vehicles in the major metros, the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the LAs, the San Franciscos, the Austin, Texases of the world. But there's many small cities in the United States that are also going to have fleets of autonomous vehicles. And I think that this is like taxi companies. This is a regional or a local business. So there's going to be a cottage industry opportunity for local business owners like me and you to own fleets of robotaxis. And transportation becomes a service. Consumers will no longer want to lay out $60,000. They will lay out a few $100s a month taking robotaxis. The robotaxi is 90% safer. You heard me right. 90% safer than a human driver automobile. If you could get in a car to go on your daily commute in a vehicle that was 90% safer than having you behind the wheel, would you consider doing that? Absolutely. Would you rather be working, goofing off on your phone, listening to music, watching the landscape go by, chatting with your children, doing any myriad of things that we'd rather do than focus on navigating these dangerous streets, right? Everyone on earth, if they have access to an AV, is going to want transportation as a service. We already have it in the form of Uber and Lyft, right? This is Uber and Lyft without the human. There's no COVID risk. There's no cigarette smoke. There's no aftershave. It's just a clean robo taxi. And yeah, they will have to periodically go to cleaning stations. This is another cottage industry that we're going to see pop up. Cleaning stations and charging stations. And I promise you next time I will show some video from a charging station. I did visit the supercharger here in Champaign in Central Illinois twice already. Got to have juice. Okay, it's an electric vehicle. Ours happens to be next to a Meijer grocery store. So one stop, I flew my drone. I'm practicing flying my drone. And one stop, I grocery shopped. And the alternative, the beauty of this story about supercharging, and this is another advantage that Tesla has. Okay, I went to a quote unquote destination charger by the I Hotel, which is a nice hotel just off of campus at the University of Illinois here. The destination charger is a slow charger, though, compared to a supercharger. And it was going to be 8.5 hours. My battery wasn't, it was at about 2/3. Or sorry, it was at about 30%. So I was going to have to leave my vehicle overnight. And this is just a block down from the I Hotel. Then I said, well, no, I don't have that flexibility. And I went 15 minutes drive north to North Prospect, and I plugged into the supercharger, and that was a 30-minute charge. So that's the difference between a supercharger and a level 2 charger, which is the vast majority of the EV chargers that are not part of the Tesla supercharging network. This is a huge, huge advantage that Tesla has. So once the robotaxi phenomenon hits the streets, we're going to need lots of chargers, of course. Mind you, we're not going to need more cars. We're going to need fewer cars. A robotaxi replaces about 5 personal vehicles, okay, because of the nature of the beast. We are mostly in our buildings, whether that's work, home, or some other destination. And the vehicle is then, the AV is servicing many more families simultaneously or in a given 24-hour period than it is otherwise when we have a personal vehicle. So the moral of the story is there's a huge AV opportunity. We're going to need Robochargers. Maybe you'll just have an attendant, like a gas station attendant, like we did in the old days, or in New Jersey, where you have to have an attendant if you gas up your car in New Jersey. It's one of the few places where that's the case, but literally the robotaxi will pull into the charger station and the attendant will plug it in. And of course, that person can then plug in many electric vehicles. It's not that big of a job. They will mostly be idle, but you know, it works. Same with cleaning stations. If there's a problem with the taxi and it needs to be cleaned, and certainly periodically during the course of the day and overnight, you will have the robotaxi cleaned internally and externally. So it's looking good, feeling good. It's a good experience. You want your customers to have a good experience. All right, so let's get to some footage. Here we are at Terrafactory, Austin, Texas. Behold, what's amazing about this video is that it's almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon here when this channel is called Terrafactory. So check it out. It's a great channel. They're documenting the building of what I refer to as Giga Texas, which is now referred to as Terra Texas. The real estate at this site is impressive. Okay, there's I believe 1,500 acres, okay, of land that Tesla has purchased, and this is just near the Austin airport. If you Google this, Google will show you where the location of this map is. And they are building a ginormous factory that is going to build a variety of cars and battery systems. Certainly the Cybertruck is going to be rolling off from this plant, the Semi, and probably the Model Y, because the Model Y is about to be America's most popular vehicle. I know it's hard to believe. Many Americans don't even know what a Model Y is. And it's about to be America's most popular vehicle, bar none. mark my words, it's November 3rd, 2020, election day. I vote Elon Musk. And then I want to leave you with some footage I shot at a community college near my home here in Champaign-Urbana. This is Parkland College, a 2 megawatt AC, 3 megawatt DC, behind the meter, single axis tracker, photovoltaic solar array. This is producing electricity from sunlight that feeds into the college, which you can see there behind you. Beautiful fall colors. The panels track the sun. And so this is at 9 o'clock in the morning. The panels are about to wake up, and then they're going to tip to the east in the morning and then track the sun over the course of the day. At noon, they'll be pointing straight to the sky, and then they track west. And by doing so, they get 10 to 15% more energy per solar panel or per square foot out of the solar array, which is why trackers are becoming so popular here in the Midwest and across the country for utility scale projects. Now, it just happens that this 2 megawatt project is really what we're going to see 111 of across Illinois in the form of community solar arrays. This is a behind the meter project, which is limited in Illinois to 2 megawatts AC, but we also have a 2 megawatt AC community solar market. So keep your eyes out for those. There's about one per county. Some counties get a couple, some counties get none. I'm not sure what community solar projects are coming into Champaign County where I live, but I've been documenting the ones that we're building for Continental Energy Solutions. And I'm also going to start documenting the utility scale solar projects and the utility scale wind farms that we already have. We have, I think, upwards of 2,000 megawatts of wind in Illinois, and we're getting another 1,000 megawatts. We have a couple hundred megawatts of solar now, maybe approaching 1,000 megawatts. We're going to add 3,000 megawatts in the next couple of years as part of FEJA, the Future Energy Jobs Act. So that's why solar is a thing now. It includes residential, commercial, community, and utility scale solar. I'm Tim Montague. Thanks for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Hit that bell for the energy transition, and we'll see you next time.